Hi, guys, and welcome to the audio companion to the event we hosted the other night in the tribe titled Go Into the New Year with Intention. So, I'd love to take just the first few minutes we have together to come into our bodies and the present moment a little bit before we start this exercise. So, take a deep breath and come into a comfortable position. So, you can sit in a chair. You can sit cross-legged on the ground. You may even prefer to lie down. And when you found your position, just gently close your eyes. So if you're in a chair, feel your feet comfortably resting on the floor. And maybe keep your spine from slouching, keeping it just a little bit straight. If you're lying down, notice how the texture of whatever you're lying on feels on your back and your legs. Shoulders are relaxed. Bring your attention to your breath, inhaling slowly and exhaling slowly with gentleness. This time, inhaling to the count of 5. And exhaling slowly to the count of 5. And keep counting as you keep breathing. As you take your next inhale, invite a sense of relaxation into the body. Invite an openness and expansion. And on the exhale, just relax. On your next inhale, sense where you might be able to let go just a little bit. There's an area or two you feel you're holding tension. Breathing into that space. And on the exhale, see if you can let go. Can you let go of a little bit of the tension? Now I'd like to invite you to bring your attention to your heart. You might like to place a hand or both hands over your heart. And just sense how it beats, how the beats feel against your fingertips. And as you inhale, invite a sense of relaxation into the heart. And on the exhale, see if you can let go of some of the weight. Inhaling, inviting an openness and expansion. And on the exhale, relax. Whenever you're ready to come back, gently open your eyes again. You might like to look around, just feel yourself in your space. So today I invite you to locate a pen and a paper, or you may even like to use your personal journal if you have one. In this session, I'm going to be proposing questions to ask yourself to reflect on aspects of this past year, identifying our learnings and our values, and using these insights to inform us of what's important to us in this coming year. So today I'm recording this on January 1st, so 2020 has officially ended. And I find that in doing these kind of reflections over the past few years, I find that if we don't take the time to pause, to reflect, and to align our minds to our intentions, we can keep being held back in the same stories or in the same patterns that contain us, or limit our capacity for connection and even our capacity to live fully. I love this cartoon where the doctor is a psychiatrist and the patient is a dog and he's lying on the couch. And the doctor is saying, "So when did you start seeing the invisible fence?" So part of our life as humans, and like the dog in this case, is that we have stories about what's keeping our life contained. When did we start seeing these invisible fences? We are living in all sorts of beliefs and ideas of what makes us a successful person, a healthy person, a fit person, a good person, a bad person, a mindful or woke person. And sometimes we can get really lost in the expectations that we have of ourselves or expectations that others have of us. And we forget about the very real options we have available in this very moment. And these stories that keep our life contained, they do so in that they keep us from being present. So really, this exercise in mindfulness and meditation and even yoga, and many other portals to presence. These are all things that can help us live more true to ourselves. So Frank Ossieseski, he wrote a book called The Five Invitations, which I really recommend reading if you haven't already. And it's really prevalent in this book that the greatest regret of the dying is I didn't live true to myself, that I forgot who I was and lived according to something smaller. So, in many ways, this reflection on the past year is a way for us to identify where we have lived according to something smaller and where we have opportunities and options to connect with other people, to deepen relationships, to help or support others in a way that's also enriching for us. It's also a way of evaluating how we're spending our time and identifying what activities or moments have enriched us so that we can act on that and bring more of these moments into our everyday lives. When we did this live in the tribe the other night, one of our members, Jake, he shared how he's noticed some of the people around him are pushing their goals or objectives into the future, for when the pandemic is over. But when we align our focus towards our intentions, it actually fuels our purpose regardless of outside circumstances. So whatever it is, it may not look exactly how we want or expected it to look, but it'll be what it can be under the current circumstances. So if your intention or purpose is having more relationships or to build a sense of community, and while that may be harder today than it was, say, 1 year ago, it may be as simple as your intention becomes an invitation to be fully present when you're with that somebody. So to take no moment with another for granted. And as Jake said on the call, we don't get these moments as often. So savor it. Can we create community that way? Can we deepen relationships one by one? So kind of changing our definitions of our objective a little bit. So essentially our intention is everything. And with that, I invite you to ask yourself the following questions. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to ask the question and then I'm going to give you a few moments to think about it for yourself. You can sit with your eyes closed and reflect. You may also want to journal on what comes up for you. Just do this in a way that feels good for you. You could even take a walk and listen to it while you're walking. You can always hit pause as well if you'd like a little more time before moving on to the next question. So the full list of these 52 questions is up in the mindfulness section of the tribe. I did cut it down just a little bit to what I felt were the most salient questions, although I think we still have almost 40 questions. I really didn't know which ones to get rid of past that point. So we should get started because this might take a while. Again, I'll give you a few moments to think about your answer in between questions and I say answer, I really just mean reflections. Just these questions are here to prompt you to get a feel for, to get some clarity around what you want your next year to look like. So don't feel like you need to have a specific answer, even if some of the questions are more specific than others. And don't forget that you can always hit pause and you can always pick back up where you left off if you get distracted. So the first question, what is something that you accomplished in 2020 that you are proud of? What is something you accomplished in 2020 that you are proud of? And the next question, what is an obstacle or challenge that you overcame this past year? What is an obstacle or challenge you overcame this past year? What energized me in 2020? What energized me in 2020? What drained me in 2020? What drained me? Did my priorities reflect how I want to live my life? Did my priorities reflect how I want to live my life? What in my life could I simplify? What could I simplify? How has my self-talk gotten in my way? How has my self-talk gotten in my way? How has my self-talk supported me? How has my self-talk supported me or been supportive in my goals or my intentions? How has the way I speak to myself supported me? In 2020, what help did I need that I didn't reach out for? What help did I need that I didn't reach out for? What help did I need that I did reach out for? What help did I need that I did reach out for? What encounter with a stranger or a new person in my life felt the most meaningful this year? What encounter with a stranger or new person in my life felt the most meaningful this year? What is one of the nicest or most memorable things someone did for me this year? What is one of the nicest or most memorable things someone did for me this year? What is the nicest thing I did for someone else this past year? What is the nicest or most memorable thing I did for somebody else this past year? Maybe you went out of your way to help somebody or make someone feel better. Anything that you can think of that really stands out from the past year. What is something I can do for others in 2021? In what ways did I contribute to my community in 2020? In what ways did I contribute to my community in 2020? In what ways do I want to contribute to my community in 2021? In what ways do I want to contribute to my community in 2021? What are the best habits I maintained in 2020? What are the best habits I maintained in 2020? And what habit am I eager to improve on and focus on in 2021? What habit am I eager to improve on and focus on? What is the most significant thing I learned about myself this past year? What is the most significant thing I learned about myself this past year? Who was the most influential person in your life in 2020? Who was the most influential person in my life in 2020? What was the most influential book that I read? What activities or moments made my soul sing in 2020? What activities or moments made my soul sing? What hobby did I most love spending time on this past year? What hobby did I most love spending time on this past year? What is one way that I broke out of my comfort zone this year? What's one thing I did where I broke out of my comfort zone this past year? What would I do in 2021 if I knew I couldn't fail? What would I do with a new year if I knew I could not fail? What will I do in 2021 to make better use of my time? What will I do in 2021 to make better use of my time? What was my favorite family memory? And maybe you didn't spend much time with family, but you have a few friends or colleagues that come to mind. What was your favorite family, friend, colleague, or otherwise memory? What was your favorite memory? What family routine did I establish well in 2020? What family routine did I establish well in the past year? What family routine would I like to strengthen in next year? What family routine would I like to strengthen? What will I do in 2021 to nourish the relationships most important to me? What will I do to nourish the relationships most important to me? What are 3 ways I can be a better friend in 2021? What are 3 ways I can be a better friend? What are 3 ways I can be a better partner? If you don't have a partner, you might think of a friend or a colleague or a close family member. What are 3 ways I can be a better partner? What are 3 ways I can be a better neighbor? 3 ways I can be a better neighbor. What are 3 ways I can be a better parent? And if you're not a parent, maybe you can ask yourself, what are 3 ways you can be a better son or daughter? How did I take care of my mind and body in 2020? How did I take care of my mind and body in 2020? What 3 habits will I prioritize in 2021 for my own self-care? It's 3 habits I will prioritize in 2021 for my own self-care. What 3 practices will help me show up as an embodiment of my values each and every day? What 3 practices will help me show up as an embodiment of my values each and every day? What are my top 3 personal priorities for 2021? My top 3 personal priorities. What are my top 3 business or work priorities for 2021? What are my top 3 business or work priorities for 2021? What are my top 3 relationship priorities for 2021? My top 3 relationship priorities. What am I most grateful for this year? What am I most grateful for this past year? What is something I'm holding on to that won't serve me in 2021? Maybe this is something you can forgive yourself for. Or perhaps it's an expectation you have for yourself or that others have of you. What is something I'm holding on to that won't serve me in 2021? Wow, so that was 42 questions. 42 questions. I hope you're feeling clearer, lighter, and hopefully very optimistic about the new year. I'm really excited to be starting this year with all of you in this community. And to end this session, I would really like to read this beautiful story by Bruce Holland Rogers. When he was very young, he waved his arms, gnashed the teeth of his massive jaws, and tramped around the house so that dishes trembled in the china cabinet. "Oh, for goodness sake," his mother said. "You're not a dinosaur. You're a human being." Well, since he was not a dinosaur, he thought for a time he might be a pirate. "Seriously," his father said at some point, "what do you want to be? A fireman, then? Or a policeman? Or a soldier? Some kind of hero?" But in high school, they gave him tests and told him that he was very good with numbers. Perhaps he'd like to be a math teacher. That was respectable. Or a tax accountant. He could make a lot of money doing that. It seemed a good idea to make money, what with falling in love and thinking about raising a family. So he was a tax accountant, even though sometimes he regretted that it made him feel, well, small. And he felt even smaller when he was no longer a tax accountant, but a retired tax accountant. Still worse, a retired tax accountant who forgot things. He forgot to take the garbage to the curb, forgot to take his pill, forgot to turn his hearing aid back on. And every day it seemed he had forgotten more things. Important things, like which of his children lived in San Francisco and which were married or divorced. Then one day, when he was out for a walk by the lake, he forgot what his mother had told him. He forgot that he was not a dinosaur. He stood, blinking his dinosaur eyes in the bright sunlight, feeling the familiar warmth on his dinosaur skin, watching dragonflies flitting among the horsetails at the water's edge. Life can be so much of a dream, living in according to the expectations in our life. And one day we wake up and we realize how much of it we've missed, that we haven't been present for, or that we haven't been living fully. And what does it take to really pause and listen in a way that allows us to live from a deeper truth, from a bigger reality? What does it take for us to live from the place of who we really are? What are you going to do in 2021 to live from the place of who you really are?